Welcome back to my series of Halloween videos leading up to the new Halloween movie just a few days away. Unfortunately, there are some Halloween videos that I wanted to do in this series, but with time screwing me over, like it always does, I can't get to them. But I do have time to do one more video, and this is the video that I really wanted to do, so I had to make sure I get this one done. Today's video, we're going to be discussing Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, the producer's cut versus the theatrical cut. A few things to keep in mind: this isn't going to be a beat-for-beat breakdown of both versions and compare all of what's different. That'll take way too much time. This is just going to be talking about some of the major changes, some of the changes that I like, some of the changes I don't like, and my overall thoughts on both of them. Also, keep in mind that this video is going to be filled with spoilers, so watch on your own terms. If you don't want to know any of these plot points, then click away, go watch the movie, and then come back. But if you've seen the movie, both versions, or you don't care, stick around. Let's start with a brief history of Halloween 6. Halloween 5 landed on a big cliffhanger, and it took 6 years for Halloween 6 to come out. That's weird timing. It took 6 years for Halloween 6 to come out. It's whatever. But the reason it took that long was because the original version, which I assume is the producer's version, they screened the movie to 14-year-old boys, and they apparently hated the movie. Yeah, 14-year-old boys, because they know what's best for the Halloween franchise. Dicks. So because of that, they had to rewrite, recut, and reshoot most of the movie, one, on a tight schedule, and two, without Donald Pleasence, because unfortunately, when the producer's cut was done, he unfortunately passed away, so they weren't able to reshoot some of his scenes. They had to work around that. Plus, someone, I don't know if it was the editor or the writer or someone, said that all of Dr. Loomis's stuff was boring. What? Yeah, he's boring. That's why he's been in basically all the sequels, and so many fans love him, and he's one of the most memorable characters in these movies. Yeah, he's boring, so let's cut out 80% of his stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. Right off the bat, you can tell that this movie does have issues. One thing that the producer's cut did better over the theatrical cut is the editing. I hate most of the editing in the theatrical version. Unfortunately, I can't show the clips because of copyright bullcrap. You can probably go look up a clip on YouTube or something. But basically, the editing in the theatrical version was really just thrown together at the last minute, or at least it feels that way. Flashes of stuff that happens previously in the movie or later on in the movie with white flashes and obnoxious sound effects. It's horrible. It feels like someone spilled coffee on the editing software and they're like, it kind of looks cool. Screw it, just throw it in there. I don't know what they were thinking with that. It didn't work. Thankfully, the producer's cut has solid editing. Everything is not flashy and in your face and gives you a freaking seizure. There's a lot of smooth takes in it. There's a lot of wide shots and a lot of suspense scenes. You know, suspense, something that Halloween is. It's not about blood and gore, it's about suspense. And that's another thing the producer's cut did better over the theatrical version. They wanted more blood and gore for Halloween 6. They wanted it to be extreme. They wanted it to be shocking, I guess you could say, but the end product just comes off as, well, forced and bad. The suspense added in the theatrical cut makes it feel more of a Halloween movie than just a generic slasher movie, which is what the theatrical version feels like. So let's get into some of the major changes in the producer's cut. First off, if you remember in the theatrical cut, Jamie dies in the beginning. She's running after Michael. She ends up in this barn. Michael picks her up and slams her on some farm equipment. It goes through her guts. It's really gruesome. And he turns it on, scrambling in. I don't know what that was, but of course, shock value, I guess. In the producer's cut, however, she's stabbed and she's taken to the hospital. She actually lives a little longer. She doesn't do anything past that point besides die. But it is okay, I guess, to see her live a little longer. It beats the over-the-top, what the hell death that she had in the theatrical version. Also, that plot thread adds to something that people have had issues with in the theatrical version. When Paul Rudd's character goes to the hospital after he finds Jamie's baby, Dr. Loomis is just randomly there. There's no explanation on why he's there. This version actually answers that. He was there to see Jamie because she's still alive. She's in the hospital. and he goes to see if she's still, like, living, if she's still okay. That's when he runs into Paul Rudd's character, who plays Tommy Doyle from the first movie. Quick note of advice, people in Hollywood or future Hollywood creators who might be watching this. If your idea is to cut out something that will end up being either a plot hole or something that just doesn't make sense, don't cut it out. Work around it. Because one big compliment I can give the producer's cut is that even though it's still not that great of a movie, it does feel like one complete version instead of a butchered, botched mess that the theatrical cut was. Now, I did say earlier that Donald Pleasance's scenes, for the most part, a lot of it was cut out for the theatrical version. At least most of it was. We actually get most, if not all of his scenes, I think it is all of his scenes, in the producer's cut. And actually, there is something that fills another plot hole that the theatrical version has. Go back to Halloween 2 after the big explosion in the hospital, and then we see him in Halloween 4 and 5. He's got a burn mark on his cheek and his hand. And it's a big focus on Donald Pleasance throughout the entire movies, at least feature-wise. In the theatrical version, they're gone. There's no explanation, they're just gone. Well, what the hell happened? In the producer's cut, it's the scene where him and the other Dr. Wynn are talking, it's extended a little bit. And Donald Pleasance says, yeah, I feel great. I had plastic surgery that fixed my hand and my cheek. Well, it's paraphrasing what he said, but that's basically what he said. And again, that was cut out. It may be a minor plot hole, but still, if you're gonna nitpick something, you're gonna notice certain things. And that was kind of a distraction. Am I the only one that noticed that? Halloween fans, if that bothered you, let me know in the comments, because that really bothered me. Also, the other scenes with Donald Pleasance just feel more Halloweenish. The series Halloweenish. It's great to hear his dialogue. It's great to see him back in this role. This was, unfortunately, Donald Pleasance's last movie role, which was really sad. I mean, he wanted to do more Halloween movies, and he ended up dying. And the filmmakers just said, well, screw that, let's cut half of his scenes out. So it is nice to see, I think it's most of his stuff. It could be all of his stuff. I don't know. It is good to see more of Donald Pleasance in this movie. It does feel more Halloweenish. We also get a flashback on what happened after Halloween 5. If you remember Halloween 5, Michael was locked up in a prison and then broken out by this mysterious man in black. Jamie goes into the prison and sees that his cell was exploded open, all the cops are dead, and that's how Halloween 5 ended. Halloween 6 picks up a number of years after Halloween 5. We do get a flashback that after Michael was broken out of prison, he was taken into this van and the man in black captured Jamie. Now, we aren't shown what happens after she's captured as a little girl, but we cut ahead to when she was about 15, which is what Jamie's age is in Halloween 6, excuse me, I couldn't get that out. But we are given something that's it's really disturbing. It's something that's hinted at in the theatrical version, but is definitely confirmed in the producer's cut, and that is that Jamie gives birth to Michael's baby. Yeah, that's pretty disturbing. I mean, it was hinted at. I think it was better not explained. It was hinted at in the theatrical cut, but it's definitely said in the producer's cut. That's something that the theatrical cut did better. It's better if we don't know whose Jamie's baby is, who the father is. It's best to know it as a mystery. At least I think it is. We don't really need to know that Michael was the father. That just makes for something really, really messed up and disturbing. Now, besides a few minor things that were extended out for more suspense stuff, there really isn't a whole lot different from middle of the movie till the end of the movie. The ending is when a lot of things get changed up. So I'm gonna skip right ahead to the ending. Both endings are very, very different from each other. I'm not gonna go through everything. Again, I'll just talk about some of the major changes. So, it's revealed in both versions that the doctor that we see in the beginning of the movie with Donald Pleasance, Wynn, he's the man in black. He's the guy that broke Michael out of prison in Halloween 5. He's basically Michael's guardian. He's making sure that he's still alive, that he's killing, that he's carrying on this curse so that it can be passed on to another child, which is eventually the girl's, Kara's child, that we see earlier on in the movie. He's hearing these voices from the man in black. So once that's revealed, they're taken to this, the main characters, Paul Rudd, Donald Pleasence, and Kara, are taken to this building. It's where they make their cultic rituals or whatever. They're taken to this building, and Kara's captured. She's separated from Paul Rudd and Donald Pleasence. Donald Pleasence goes to confront Wynn. Donald Pleasence gets knocked out, and we don't see him until the very, very, very end of the movie. Paul Rudd goes to find Kara, and this big chase between Michael, Kara, and Paul Rudd's happening. It's really cool, actually. This part of the theatrical version I do really, really like, even though it does feel a bit tacked on. There is one scene that I want to mention. I hate the editing of this movie, but this scene is really awesome. Michael's going into this room with this freaking large knife, just killing doctors, with this strobe light going on. The strobe light doesn't make any sense, but I don't care, it's awesome. There's blood going everywhere. It's really, really cool. Anyway, they go to this room where Paul Rudd injects Michael with this green goo or whatever it is. I think it's supposed to knock him out or tranquilize him or whatever, but of course it doesn't work. And this scene was supposed to be Paul Rudd handing Michael Jamie's baby, and then he was going to fake him out and hit him with this stuff, whatever it was. One thing leads to another, some more poor editing, and then Kara and her child escape with the baby. And Paul Rudd's beating Michael with this pipe. While he's beating him with this pipe, Donald Pleasence just appears out of nowhere and gets him out of the building into the car. And then Paul Rudd beats him some more terrible editing, and that's that. Then they get to the car, and Paul Rudd says to Donald Pleasence, "Come with us." And Donald Pleasence says, "No, I have some business to take care of." So they drive away, and then this really weird shot. It pans down to the room that we were in, and on the floor is Michael's mask and the syringe that Paul Rudd used, with Donald Pleasence screaming in the background, kind of echo screaming. And that's it. That's the end of the movie. Some fans like this ending. I hate this ending. It feels like they gave up. It honestly just feels like they didn't know what to do. You know, the producer's cut ending, which I'll get into in a minute, it's like they said to themselves, well, they didn't like that ending, what do we do? And it honestly felt like they ran out of time, and they're just like, screw it, just throw in anything that could be a cliffhanger ending. And they came up with that. I don't like this ending. There are some fans that do. That's fine if you do. I think this ending sucks. You know, it's sad that the original intention for this movie was just botched. And because of that, we lost what I thought was a pretty cool ending with the producer's cut. So with that being said, let's get to the producer's cut ending. Most everything happens the same when they get captured, except Kara is taken to this ritual chamber. Can't say that right. Anyway, she's tied up for some reason, and then Michael was going to sacrifice Jamie's baby. And Paul Rudd goes to find Kara, like he did in the theatrical version. Only he follows this guy into the ritual room, and he dresses up like one of them to kind of sneak in there. And then it's revealed, it's confirmed that the baby is Michael's, which I got into that. I'm not going to get into it more. But then Paul Rudd gets the jump on him. You know, he grabs Wynn with a knife. He has a knife up to his neck, and he says to them, "Untie her." And then they untie her. Michael chases after him, and they run down this hallway, this white hallway with this alarm going on. And Michael's, you know, there's this really cool shot where we see at the very end of the hallway a little itty-bitty Michael just slowly walking down the hallway. It's a really cool scene, and Paul Rudd basically says, "I got an idea." He grabs these rocks, and he places them in a circle. It's part of the Thorn cult thing or whatever. And while he's doing this, we get the scene where Donald Pleasence shows up, which makes more sense on why they're in this room and why he shows up to save them. I don't know, to me it just flows better. And Paul Rudd's doing his thing. He ends up cutting his hand, spilling blood on the floor. And after Kara and her child and Donald Pleasence escape, Michael grabs Paul Rudd's neck, lifts him up, and Paul Rudd says Sam Hain. I'm not sure why he says that. It's interesting. It's an interesting part to add. And Michael just stops. You know, the runes, as they call it, stopped him. You know, he just stopped. You know, he's not like holding his hand out or anything or trying to chase him. He's just standing there, which is kind of weird to see that happen to Michael. I'm not fully against it, but It is an interesting choice, I'll give it that. And then Wynn shows up and he says to Michael, "What have they done to you?" And then we see he gives a clenched fist. So something's going to happen. We know something's going to happen. And then the car scene plays out like the theatrical version. Dr. Loomis says, I have some unfinished business to take care of. The main characters drive away, and then Loomis goes back into the hallway we were just in. And Michael's now laying on the floor. And this is a really touching scene from Donald Pleasence. He really nailed it with this part. He's crying and he's saying to Michael, "It's finally over." And he goes to take the mask off, and it's Wynn. Plot twist right there. There's a major plot twist. Michael switched out his suit and mask with Wynn's Man in Black suit. Wynn grabs Donald Pleasence's wrist and says, "It's your game now, Loomis." And as Dr. Loomis looks at his wrist, the Thorn cult symbol shows up, and we get that scream that we heard in the theatrical version, but it makes more sense right here. And then we see a silhouette of Michael, dressed in the Man in Black, walking away. So that officially means that the Man in Black is dead, and even though Dr. Loomis doesn't want this, he is now forever Michael's watcher and guardian. I love this ending. It makes a whole lot more sense than that ending we got in the theatrical version, and to me it just flows better. I would go as far to say I love this ending. It leaves it open for more sequels. Even though they decided to hit the soft reboot button with Halloween H2O, it's unfortunate we're never going to see the official intention for this Thorn saga that Michael Myers was a part of. Maybe I highly doubt they'll do this. I very much highly doubt they'll do this. But maybe one day we'll get to see a conclusion for this. I don't think it'll happen. Now with this new movie coming out, I actually know it's not going to happen. But it would be really cool to see the original ending we were supposed to get with Halloween 6. So in the end, guys, I like the producer's cut a lot more. It feels like a more complete movie. It's still not a great movie. I still have issues with the producer's cut, but a lot less issues than I did with the theatrical version. The theatrical version, I would go as far to say I hate. I don't hate it, but it's definitely one of the weakest Halloween movies. Rewatching it now, I can still watch it, but there's a lot of stuff that just gives me a headache. And thankfully we have the producer's cut to see now. You know, for the longest time it was on bootleg territory, just spread around eBay and passed around from videotape to videotape. But now, thanks to this box set, we have the producer's cut on Blu-ray. And it is nice to see both versions. People can say whatever they want about this version. I prefer the producer's cut. I think it's a much better movie. There's a lot of people that prefer the theatrical cut. That's fine. I think it's great to compare different versions of movies and discuss what you like and what you don't like. I think that's great. Well, guys, that's the end of my Halloween series of videos. Unfortunately, this is going to be my last one. I wanted to do more, but in the end, I'm glad I got this video out here. I really wanted to do this video, and I'm ready for the new Halloween movie. What the hell happened to my mask? Stupid latex masks. If the smell of them doesn't get to you, then it pulls a freaking Houdini and disappears on you. Oh well. If there's one thing horror movies have taught me, is that if something of yours disappears, you don't call the police, and you definitely don't get out of the house. You go investigate. There's also a saying you shouldn't say. Something about when you leave the room. I don't know, but I'll be right back.